Now, I'm addressing those who say that various parts of the Christian Bible seem to have a pagan, influence, or are derived from paganism. That some of Christ's theology came from paganism. I think in some ways these people have some good points. For example, I have read that some of the Babylonian pagans had rituals where they would eat pieces of bread or other types of food while claiming that it was the manifestation of their deities. And this does sound a lot like Christ's words regarding the Lord's Supper, where he picked up bread and said that it was his body, and then told his friends, his apostles, to eat it. And so I can see that this does sound like the pagan ritual. And makes you wonder how this came about. Because even if Christ's words were to be taken symbolically instead of literally, it wouldn't change the fact that the words that he used do sound like he was referring to a paganish custom. Just the mere fact that he used those words and telling people to eat his body would sound paganish. And also where he said to drink his blood, and that too would sound paganish. Also, the Christian baptism seems similar to various pagan rituals that I have read about, where they would use certain types of baptism in water in order to achieve some kind of purification. And that sounds a lot like the Christian baptism. Now then, it's possible that that is just a coincidence, but it could also be that Christ decided to promote his own glory by using these types of rituals that had been derived from paganism. He might have actually come in contact with some of these teachings. For example, the Bible shows that Christ was visited by wise men from the east. And we know that Babylon was to the east of where Christ was living. So in my view, it's possible that these wise men were Babylonian wise men, come from what might now be called Persia, or Iran, part of it. And there's some that say that these wise men were practitioners of the Zoroastrian religion that was dominant in that area. And it remained pretty much dominant in that area until the rise of the Islamic faith a few centuries later. So it's possible that Christ was exposed to Zoroastrian religious traits and Babylonian theology, and that he may have decided to use some to create similar types of rituals to promote his own glory. And the fact that Christ came from a Jewish background does not prohibit him from using these rituals and philosophies that came from paganism. In fact, there are plenty of cases in the Bible where people from Jewish backgrounds embraced paganish traits. But now this would not mean that Christ was promoting the worship of pagan gods. It would just mean that he picked various rituals and expressions that had come from paganism, and he used it to promote his own glory and to help his people partake in it, so that the Lord's Supper and baptism, things like that, would be beneficial to his people, even though these things bore a lot of similarity to pagan customs, especially those in Babylon. So I'm trying to think, would there be some other explanation for these wise men that came from the east? Seems they would not have been Jewish, I wouldn't think. And even if they had been Jewish, they could have adopted these traits from the pagan religions of Babylon or Persia, that region. And also, these wise men were following the stars. It was like they were astrologers. were astronomers, thinking that the stars, or the Star of Bethlehem, would lead them to a king. And that sounds like something you might expect from astrology. Doesn't sound to me like a Jewish custom, which I have to admit I haven't read every single passage of Hebrew scriptures, or I haven't understood all of their philosophy that they would have had back in those days. There might have been some legends that were among the Jews and that I hadn't heard of, but it might bear looking into. Let's see what was going on with these wise men. I don't know. It is kind of fascinating, or at least to me. Some other people might find it boring, but I try to look at the influences on Christ's life, where he came up with these ideas. And how about John the Baptist, too? He was out there baptizing people. Now, he did not provide the Christian baptism. It was the baptism of repentance. It was probably more of a symbolic type of thing that John the Baptist was doing. And not sure where he got that from, but it seems there were other people around at the same time doing things like that. Because it didn't seem like it was something unheard of, performing baptisms. I just wonder where they came up with these ideas. Performing baptisms, eating flesh. Yeah, probably some more things in there too. On the other hand, of course, remember something also, is that Christ had divine nature as well as human nature. Now, his human nature could very well have led him to some of the same kind of rituals that other humans had embraced, including pagan humans. See, so even though Christ was divine, from my standpoint, it wouldn't prohibit him from having these human characteristics and coming up with rituals and things like, that would not seem divine, because of his human characteristics, his human nature. So he could have come up, just by coincidence, he could have come up with the same kind of rituals that were prominent among some other people, even if he had never met those other people. And then he had his apostles, and they expounded on it. Yeah, came up with things as they got the church going. It's been a fascinating time. Yeah. Well, I guess that's all I got right now. Bye.